There is a line in this book, written over 170 years ago, that may be the most famous opening in all of English literature. Call me Ishmael. 3 words. That's it. And yet, those 3 words have haunted readers for generations, because what follows is not just a story about a whale. It is a story about obsession, about what happens when a man decides that the universe owes him something and refuses to accept any answer but revenge. Moby Dick by Herman Melville was published in 1851. It was considered a failure when it came out. Melville died poor and largely forgotten. And yet, today, it is universally considered one of the greatest novels ever written. So what is this book actually about? What do 135 chapters and an epilogue have to tell us about the human condition? Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll understand why the story about a whale is really a story about you. Our narrator introduces himself simply as Ishmael, and he tells us right away why he goes to sea. Whenever he finds himself growing miserable, whenever it feels like a damp, drizzly November in his soul, whenever he catches himself staring too long at coffin warehouses, that's when he knows it's time to get on a ship. The sea, for Ishmael, is therapy. It is his alternative to destruction. Now, Ishmael is not a wealthy man. He travels by foot to New Bedford, Massachusetts, one of the great whaling towns of America, where he'll sign on for a voyage. And here, in a rough, chaotic and called the Spooterin, he is forced to share a bed with a stranger. That stranger is Queequeg. Queequeg is a harpooner from a fictional Pacific island. He's covered head to toe in tattoos. He carries a shrunken head. He worships a small wooden idol called Yojo. By every Victorian standard of the day, he is the other, the savage, the exotic, the terrifying unknown. And yet, Ishmael quickly discovers that Queequeg is one of the most decent, generous, and honorable human beings he has ever met. This is Melville's first great idea: civilization does not equal virtue. The savage is, in many ways, more humane than the so-called civilized world around him. Ishmael and Queequeg become fast friends. Brothers, really. Before setting sail, Ishmael visits a whaleman's chapel in New Bedford. The walls are lined with memorial tablets, stone slabs commemorating sailors lost at sea. Husbands, sons, men whose bodies were never recovered. And then Father Maple climbs into his pulpit, a pulpit shaped like the prow of a ship, and delivers a sermon about the prophet Jonah. The message of the sermon is stark. Woe to him who seeks to pour oil upon the waters when God has brewed them into a gale. In other words, you cannot negotiate with fate. You cannot smooth over what the universe has made turbulent. And if you defy God's will in the pursuit of your own desires, the whale will swallow you whole. It is a warning, and no one in this story listens to it. Ishmael and Queequeg then travel to Nantucket, the tiny island off Massachusetts that was, at the time, the whaling capital of the world. There, they sign on to a ship called the Pequod, an old, dark, and strangely decorated vessel covered in the teeth and bones of sperm whales. The owners warn them. The captain, a man named Ahab, is unusual. He lost his leg to a whale on a previous voyage. He's been at sea for 40 years. He is a grand, ungodly, godlike man. On the docks, a ragged, half-mad prophet named Elijah stops them. He asks cryptically whether they've sold their souls. He mutters warnings about what awaits them on the Pequod. Ishmael laughs it off. He shouldn't. The Pequod sets sail on Christmas Day, an irony Melville clearly intended. For days, Captain Ahab does not appear. The crew sees only his orders, issued from the cabin. The ship is run by the mates, the calm and cautious Starbuck, the cheerful Stubb, and the simple Flask. But everyone knows something is different about this voyage. And then, one morning, Ahab appears on deck. He stands there, a tall, powerful man, with a white scar that runs from his hairline all the way down his neck, disappearing beneath his clothes. And in place of his missing leg, he has a prosthetic carved from the jawbone of a sperm whale. He stands planted in an auger hole drilled into the deck for exactly that purpose. He says nothing for days. He just paces. Then comes the scene that changes everything. The quarterdeck, chapter 36. Ahab summons the entire crew. He pulls out a gold doubloon, a Spanish coin, and nails it to the mainmast. "Whosoever of ye raises me a white-headed whale with a wrinkled brow and a crooked jaw," he cries, "he shall have this gold ounce, my boys." The crew wars. They think it's sport, but Ahab is deadly serious. He passes around a grog cup and orders the harpooneers to cross their harpoons together. He is forging a dark oath, a covenant of vengeance. The first mate, Starbuck, is horrified. He protests, "I came here to hunt whales for profit, not for revenge." To be enraged with a dumb brute is madness. Ahab turns on him with terrifying force. "Talk not to me of blasphemy, man. I'd strike the sun if it insulted me." There it is, the heart of Ahab. He does not see Moby Dick as a whale. He sees it as the mask of some malevolent cosmic force, and he intends to punch through that mask with a harpoon. Chapter 41 is titled simply Moby Dick. Here, Ishmael tells us the full legend of the white whale. Moby Dick is an enormous sperm whale, old, scarred, unnaturally cunning. He has survived countless attacks. He has destroyed boats, crushed men. He seems almost supernatural in his ability to appear and disappear at will across the vast Pacific. Ahab first encountered him years ago. Moby Dick bit off his leg, and in the delirious recovery that followed, Ahab's grief and rage fused into something new, something that consumed him entirely. Ishmael confesses that he too took the oath, felt the madness. Ahab's quenchless feud seemed mine, he says. But then comes chapter 42, arguably the most philosophical chapter in the novel, the whiteness of the whale. Why is the whale white? Why does that whiteness terrify everyone who sees it? Ishmael goes through every cultural association with white: purity, divinity, innocence, virginity. White is sacred. White is beautiful. And yet, there is something about pure white that horrifies us at a primal level. A white shark, a white polar bear, a white ghost. Because whiteness, Ishmael argues, is vacancy. It suggests that behind the face of the universe, there is nothing. No God, no meaning, no justice, just a blank, indifferent void staring back at you. That is what Ahab cannot accept. He would rather believe the universe is actively evil, that there is a monster to fight, than accept that it might simply be empty. His obsession is, in a strange way, his act of faith. If Moby Dick is evil, then evil exists. And if evil exists, meaning exists. The Pequod is not alone on the ocean. Melville uses the encounters with other ships, called gams, to deepen the story. They meet the Town Ho, whose crew whispers a secret story involving Moby Dick. A story Ishmael tells as a tale within a tale, warning us that the white whale seems to carry with it the weight of fate itself. They meet the Jeroboam, whose crew is under the spell of a mad prophet who has claimed Moby Dick as a messenger of God and forbidden them to pursue him. They meet the Rachel, whose captain begs Ahab to help search for a lost whaleboat, including his own young son. Ahab refuses. The gold doubloon on the mast is worth more to him than any child's life. In the middle of this voyage comes the extraordinary chapter 87, the Grand Armada, where the Pequod chases a massive school of sperm whales in the waters near Malacca, and Ishmael peers down into the crystalline deep to see nursing mothers and newborn calves swimming in perfect peace, untouched by the carnage above them. A world of innocence existing just beneath a world of slaughter. Then there is chapter 99, the doubloon, the gold coin nailed to the mast. One by one, each member of the crew comes to stare at it, and each man sees something different. Ahab sees himself. Starbuck sees hope. Stubbs sees fun. The mad sailor Pip sees the whole cosmos. The doubloon is a mirror. It shows you whatever you bring to it. Melville is telling us we do not find meaning in the world. We project it. Meanwhile, Queequeg falls gravely ill. He asks the ship's carpenter to build him a coffin, carved and decorated just as his native culture demands. He lies in it. He makes peace with death. And then, remarkably, he simply decides not to die. He recovers. And when the ship's life buoy is lost, that coffin is sealed and transformed into a replacement life buoy, a detail that will matter enormously at the very end. Chapter 132 is called the Symphony, and it is perhaps the most heartbreaking chapter in the book. It is a clear, perfect day. Ahab stands at the rail, and for a moment, just a moment, he becomes human again. He weeps. He speaks quietly to Starbuck about his wife and child waiting at home. 40 years at sea, a boy who barely knows his father, a wife who is a widow in all but name. What is it? What nameless, inscrutable, unearthly thing is it? What cozening, hidden lord and master, and cruel, remorseless emperor commands me that against all natural lovings and longings I so keep pushing? He knows that something has taken him over, that the obsession is not really his. And yet, he cannot stop. Starbuck pleads with him. Let us fly these deadly waters. Let us home. For one agonizing moment, Ahab hesitates. Then the moment passes. His eyes go hard. He turns away. What's the use of arguing against the gods? What's done cannot be undone. I feel it. I know it. I am the fate's lieutenant. I act under orders. On the first day of the chase, Ahab smells the whale before he sees it. He orders all boats lowered, takes command of one himself, and Moby Dick appears. White, enormous, serene. The whale moves with eerie calm, as if it is not being hunted, as if it is the hunter. Boats are smashed. Men are flung into the sea. Ahab's harpoon finds its mark, but Moby Dick escapes, tangling the lines and nearly drowning Ahab himself. On the second day, the chase continues. More boats are destroyed. More men are lost. Fedallah, Ahab's mysterious shadow prophet, is killed, his body tangled in the harpoon lines wrapped around Moby Dick. His prophecy comes true. He would die before Ahab, and Ahab would see him again before his own death. On the third day, the final confrontation, Ahab sees the whale. He sees Fedallah's corpse lashed to its flank, and still he rows toward it. Forehead to forehead I meet thee, this third time, Moby Dick. The whale turns and rams the Pequod directly. The great ship, covered in the teeth and bones of its victims, begins to sink. Men leap into the sea. The masts crack, and Ahab, wild-eyed, throws his final harpoon deep into Moby Dick's flank. The line runs out, and the loop catches Ahab around the neck. He is yanked from the boat without a word. Gone. Into the sea. The Pequod, pulled by its own sinking vortex, drags every man, every boat, every flag down into the ocean. The sky goes dark, and the great shroud of the sea rolled on as it had 5,000 years ago. And then one voice, one survivor, and I only am escaped alone to tell thee. Ishmael, floating on the ocean, kept alive by Queequeg's coffin, the same coffin built in anticipation of death, transformed into an instrument of survival. Until the Rachel, the ship whose captain Ahab had turned away, the one searching for a lost child, returns, and finds another orphan, and takes him in. Moby Dick is a book about obsession, and how the pursuit of a single idea, a single enemy, a single meaning can consume everything around it and destroy everything you love. Ahab represents the danger of certainty. He is absolutely sure that Moby Dick is evil, that his cause is righteous, that the universe has singled him out for this mission. That certainty is his death. Ishmael represents the survival of curiosity. He is endlessly interested in whales, in people, in ideas, in the ocean itself. He doesn't know what the whale means. And that openness, that willingness to float rather than fight, is what keeps him alive. Queequeg represents the quiet heroism of compassion. His coffin literally saves Ishmael's life. His friendship is the only real warmth in the entire novel. And Moby Dick himself, the white whale, remains unknowable. He is not evil. He is not God. He is not a punishment or a reward. He is simply a whale, enormous, indifferent, ancient, and utterly beyond human categories of meaning. Melville seems to be telling us the universe does not owe us meaning. It does not owe us justice. The question is not what does it all mean. The question is how do we live with that uncertainty? Do we rage against the white whale until it destroys us? Or do we float? That was Moby Dick by Herman Melville, one of the most ambitious, frustrating, beautiful, and profound books ever written. A book that was ignored in its time and now sits at the very center of American literature. If this summary sparked something in you, I genuinely encourage you to read the original. It's dense, yes, but the prose is unlike anything else in the English language. If you enjoyed this video, please hit like and subscribe. It genuinely helps this channel grow. And drop in the comments, do you think Ahab was mad? Or was he the only honest man on the ship? I'll see you in the next one.